Hi everyone, I hope you can see me and hear me. Please let me know if that's the case. It's nice to see you here. I see some people are already connecting in the chat, which I love. Hi to all of you. Hi Cindy. Hey Mama. My mom's here. Hey Susan, Iggy, Lindsay, Susan again. Kids are Club, cool name. Celia, Rena. Nice to see you all. I will wait a few minutes before I start baking, just so everyone can log on and we can say hi to each other. It's always nice to see you saying hi in the chat and also telling me where you're from. I love seeing that. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Allie. Great, you can hear me. That's good. You guys let me know if something's a little off. My mom says that the sound is a little low, but I don't know if that's just my mom. Mamma, du får skruva upp ljudet. I'm just telling her she has to turn up the volume. Hi, all the way to Istanbul. Nice to see you. And New York, awesome. And Nigeria, very cool. Yeah, before I get to baking, I want to thank Blackmagic Design, as usual, for making these lives possible and fun by providing us with this awesome camera that you're seeing me filmed in right now. It's a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, 6K. We've been using it for about a year now, and we love it. They've also provided us with a live streaming switcher. I don't know why I find that so hard to say, but basically it's a device that helps us use our professional cameras to film these lives and also makes it easy for us to have different angles so that you can see what's going on in the bowls. And if you want to learn more about how we work, well, sort of behind the scenes of how we work, there's a video on my channel called Just Behind the Scenes if you want to learn more about that. So thank you to Blackmagic, and you can find their products linked in the description if you're interested in checking them out. And yeah, we're going to make some oat cookies or some oatmeal cookies. And I've got all my ingredients laid out. And if you're baking along with me, you'll want to turn on the oven now to 180 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but I usually think that it's about double. So maybe around 360, but best to Google it or use the search engine if you're not sure. And I also forgot to write that I'm using a stuck a hand mixer. I think that's what this is called, an elvisp in Swedish, to cream the margarine and the sugar together. So if you have one of these, you might want to whip it out, pun intended, or I would say that you can use a fork. That'll take longer probably, but I think that's the best bet. But, you know, get creative. If you have an idea of your own, that's cool. I'm going to leave that to the side for now. I also have a lined baking tray, so you might want to get that in order as well. And then we're just going to start getting everything together. But I just want to check in with you guys again. Hi, Dancing Pineapple, asking me about Melodifestivalen. That's like Swedish Eurovision. We have basically competitions before Eurovision to decide what song we send to Eurovision. And if you're not from Europe, Eurovision is a song contest between different countries in Europe. And I think it's actually, no, it was on last night. And what I snack on, I can talk about a little later. But it's nice to see you all logging on. And my sister is here as well now. She will help moderate the chat. Her name is Flo. Hey, Flo. Nice to see you here. And cool. I think we should get started. So what I like to do with this recipe is, first of all, I mix the dry ingredients in a bowl separately first. And before I do that, I actually realized that I had a question if you could substitute the vegan butter or margarine with something else. And personally, I have never made these cookies with oil, for example, or something like that. So you could try it with coconut oil, but I can't, how do you say, I can't promise that it will be the same. I can't promise what the outcome will be. And I also don't know if you need to use the same weight for the oil as the margarine. So if you want to substitute it, I would say that the best substitute would be coconut oil, but you have to sort of figure out the ratios as you go. And you will see when I get to the point of mixing everything, sort of how sticky it is, and you'll obviously want to try and recreate that kind of stickiness. Yeah, I'm not a master baker. I like baking, I'm not a master baker. I don't know all of the science, but I do know that these cookies are yummy. So let's start making them. First of all, I'm going to put some oats into my bowl, and I'm using 1.5 cups. This was harder than I expected to do while someone was watching. So I'm popping 1.5 cups in here. Sorry about the noise. Cool. That's the first ingredient, which makes sense for oat cookies, right? Then I'm going to grab some desiccated coconut. And yes, just regular desiccated coconut. I have 1 cup here, and that's going in as well. So these cookies are quite like chewy and how do you say, like chunky, which is really nice, I think. And I hope you will like it too if you're making them at home. Next in here, I'm going to add some almond meal. So as you can see, it's like slightly grainy. I think there's like almond flour that has been like defattened, where they remove the fat basically to make it like a proper, fine flour. But this is not that. This is almond meal. It's just basically ground up almonds. So that's going in as well, 1/2 cup. I hope this bowl is big enough. Next up, I've got some buckwheat flour. And someone also asked if they could use some other flour. And honestly, I think that most flours would work for this because it's quite a small ratio that is a flour in this mixture. And I'd say like brown rice flour or rice flour, or even spelt flour, or maybe even wheat flour would work in this. I haven't tried it myself, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't make a big difference. So I've got 1/2 cup of buckwheat flour as well that I'm adding in. I also wanted to say that, yes, these cookies, the way I make them, are gluten-free. And most of the recipes that I make and that I share are gluten-free because I myself is sensitive to gluten, so it's not something I eat on a daily basis. Although I would quite like to eat a lot of bread most days, but I don't. I eat gluten-free bread instead. But yeah, if you're not intolerant to gluten, like I said, you could definitely try like spelt or wheat flour in this. Moving on. Now I'm going to add some baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. And I've got 1 teaspoon that's going in there. And I'm also adding in some cinnamon. I like to add cinnamon for a little bit of like that warmth and a nice spicy touch. You could, of course, use other spices like cardamom maybe, or ginger even, or a mixture of all of these if you want a different type of vibe going on with the flavors. It's completely up to you. I don't think you can really go wrong unless you like add paprika or oregano or something, so don't do that. Let's think. I think I've got everything in there. I just want to double check in my notes because I have been known to forget something, and I would if I didn't do that, because we need some salt as well. So we've got regular salt here, and I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon, about that much. And that's it for the dry ingredients. So I'm just going to mix this up now with a trusty fork, just to sort of combine it. I have heard that this is good practice when baking, so I do it. So I just want to incorporate everything, and that obviously makes it mixed. When we then mix it with the butter and the sugar, that makes it already well dispersed within itself, that it mixes well with the wetter ingredients. Sorry, a little bit of a brain freeze. It happens sometimes, as those of you who have been here before know. It's okay. I think that's about enough. I would say that's mixed. So I'm going to set that aside for now. And now we're going to mix the sort of wetter ingredients. I mean, they're not wet, really. It's just the creaming the butter and the sugar. I'm also adding some maple syrup. So I need another bowl, and I've prepared. I'm just going to check in quickly with the chat in case there were any questions or something that came up. I'm glad you feel that it's kitchen ASMR, sustainable teacher, when I'm clinking around with everything. That's a good way of looking at it. Thank you, Anthony, for complimenting me on my haircut. Rob actually cut it for me. We just do a very straight line, or as straight as we can get it. Hi, Juan from Spain. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. Oh, Celia is asking if the recipe would work with almond flour instead of the almond meal. I haven't tried, number one, so I don't 100% know. But as the almond meal does have the fat still in it, it does give more moisture to the mixture. So I wonder and think that it would become more of a dry mixture if you used almond flour instead of the almond meal. I would say that you could probably change the buckwheat flour for almond flour because they are more similar in the way that they are drier. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Oh, Lindsay, you're drinking my tahini hot chocolate. That makes me so happy. Nice. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And yes, those oat cookies that we're making are actually perfect with it. When I took the photos of that drink, which is, sorry for those of you who don't know, I posted a video last Sunday about my 3 favorite hot drinks, and this is one of them, the tahini and date hot chocolate. And I actually, when I took the pictures for that blog post, I made those cookies to sort of go along with it. But yeah, I think enough talking. Okay, one more question. One more question. Nakaya Music is asking, where do I get my bowls from? And I've answered this before, and I will answer it again. Actually, I make quite a few of my bowls myself, or I have made them myself. Like this stack here, I've made, and this here. And a lot of the things that I use often in my videos as well is from a UK brand or UK potter called Nom Living, N-O-M Living. I don't know why I'm writing in the air, but yeah, Nom Living. I really like them. They have some beautiful things. And otherwise, I also buy a lot from secondhand. So those are my tips. And also look for independent potters. They make beautiful stuff. It's more expensive, but it's good to support them if you have the means, of course. And then you can get more unique pieces for your kitchen. Anyways, let's do the cookies, which is why we're here. I love to talk, as you know. So I'm going to add my margarine or my vegan butter to my big bowl now. And I've got 150 grams of margarine here, milk-free margarine, vegan butter. And I'm just going to cut it into smaller pieces before I add it in here. I find that that's easier for mixing. Definitely if you're using a fork to do it, but even if you're using a hand blender, it'll be easier as well. So I'm just going to pop that in there. It's obviously not important that the pieces are even or anything. We're going to break them in a minute anyway. Cool. That's some ASMR for you. I was just plopping it in there. It sounds hilarious. Okay, that's that. And I will dispose of this knife and dry my hands. If you were doing this with me, you know why, because it gets really sticky. And I'm going to add in my sugar. So I've got light muscovado sugar that I like to use for these cookies. I like it because it has a it's a very nice flavor. It's like a deeper flavor than cane sugar or white sugar or brown sugar, I think. And it's a little bit like almost a bit wet if you've never used it before. And yeah, it's processed a little less than other types of sugar. I think it has a little bit more minerals. But yeah, I really like it for its flavor. But I think you could use brown sugar or coconut sugar in here as well. So don't worry if you don't have this exact sugar. I think also dark muscovado sugar would work perfectly. I've got half a cup and that's going in there. And now I'm going to use my little machine, and I'm a little embarrassed almost because it's broken. But you know, I don't like to buy new stuff if I don't need to. I've lost my little thingy-majiggy that helps me put it on and off. So you shall see me struggling in a minute trying to turn this off, but I will do my best. And also, of course, this will make a little bit of a noise probably. So if you're sensitive, have sensitive ears, maybe you want to turn the sound down. But in I go, and if you're baking along, you'll just want to cream this until it's well combined and soft and mixed. So let's go. Bad. I'm proud. Okay, so I think you saw there to what point I cream it. It's well combined, it's a bit creamed together. I'm just going to grab a spatula to help me out. I'm just going to scrape the sides down a little bit because I'm going to add some maple syrup in here as well, and then mix one more time before we move on from the blending or mixing or whatever we're going to call it in my Swedish English, Swinglish. So next up, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. Again, I'm adding it for a bit more sweetness, but also because it adds super nice flavor, more richness, and in that goes. Maybe we should use the spatula again to get the last bits out, because we all know that maple syrup isn't cheap. I don't know, maybe it is elsewhere. Here in Sweden, it's pretty darn expensive. So we definitely want to get every last drop in there. Cool beans. This bowl, by the way, is, I think, from Anthropology. I forgot to say that. I used to buy some things there a few years ago. I don't know what it's like now, but yeah, those little bowls are from there. So I also see that I managed to put sugar in my water, which is great, and also on the table. So I'm just gonna make sure I get that in there. As always, we do things on the fly here in my kitchen. I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna put this machine on again, and just until this is combined again. And that's a little trick that maybe you know at home, maybe you don't. But if you sort of put it on and hold it up, usually more comes out. So that is not all stuck to here. But we're still going to have to scrape this off because we don't want to lose too much of our wet mix, or whatever we call this, our creamy mix. So I'm going to just try and scrape this out best as I can. And I see the chat moving. I'm sorry if I don't manage to answer your question straight away. When the cookies are baking, I'll try and answer some more questions. I actually got some questions from some of you on Instagram as well, so I've written those down and we'll answer those too. Okay, a great tip from one of you: if you cream the butter alone first before you do it with the sugar, it won't fly out of the bowl, which it always does here in my kitchen, and I shall try this next time. Thank you. Like I said, I'm no baking specialist, so I appreciate every tip you give me. Okay, this is going so. There's also a hair in here. Gross. Sorry about that. My mom, I was chatting to my mom on, what you call it? On the phone with video chat when I was eating my lunch, and I had a hair in my bowl then too. I'm sorry if you find this gross, but I had a hair in my bowl, and she laughed and said that if my grandma had seen that, she would have thrown up and she wouldn't have eaten the food. And I think that kind of, how do you say, phobia for hairs in your food stopped with her in our family, because I laughed and said that, yeah, well, what is going on? There's hairs everywhere. Sorry, gross. Because my mom is definitely not like that, and me neither, as you can tell. Just pick them out and move along. Keep calm and carry on, or what's the little saying? Okay, this is futile. I try to get it out. If you're at home, you doing this as well, I feel for you. I think we've got most of it. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put that over there, and I'm gonna just try and scrape it into the center again. And then we're going to add in the dry ingredients and mix it all up. Just checking in. I like that Andrew says that it's extreme baking. And I don't think many things here are extreme, but I guess if this is extreme baking, I think that's quite funny, and I'm happy that I'm sharing it with you. Where did I put the dry ingredients? Over here. I don't know, now I got a bit flustered and looking everywhere, but cool, moving on. We're gonna just add the dry ingredients into this bowl, like so. I don't know why I'm poking at it with a fork. Just pour it in. And then I like to first use my spatula to get it together, but then I will quite quickly resort to using my hand. That's usually how it goes. You will think it's too dry to begin with, but it will all be fine in the end, I promise. And this is about when I would start using my hand, so I will, but actually I think what we can do is add our raisins and walnuts if you want to use that. Actually, I forgot to write, but you could totally use some other ingredient to spice this up with. If you had chocolate chips, chocolate chunks, what you call them, pieces of chocolate, you could add that in. If you have other nuts, that's totally fine too. If you want to chop up some other type of dried fruit, that's really nice in there as well, like apricots or dates. But I have a 1/4 cup of raisins. Mine happen to be yellow, but it doesn't matter. Any type of raisin or sultana will work well. Next, I'm going to add in some pieces of walnut. I really like walnuts in these types of cookies. I think it adds a really nice crunch and flavor. And I have a hair sticking out from my head. Probably why hair is everywhere. Anyways, I break them up into smaller pieces. Like this is a good size for me. So if I have a bigger piece, I just break it up by pressing onto it. I'll put this down to make it easier for myself. Cool. And yeah, I'm just going to add these in here as well. And I'm using a slightly heaped 1/4 cup of this as well. Definitely a heaped 1/4 cup. The recipe calls for a 1/4 cup. So if that's what you have, that's what you use. But I used a little bit more. Today, I guess I'm feeling a little fancy. In it goes. Kat is saying that hair is a lot less gross to her in the food when she knows it's her own. And I completely agree. That makes a lot of sense to me. Cool. Those are all the walnuts in. And I'm going to now use my hand to do the rest of the mixing. Obviously you have like vegan butter in here, so you don't want to like put warm hands in there too much, but it's just easier. So I do it, and then I try not to do it too much, just until it's combined. Before I started today, I realized I didn't have enough desiccated coconut, and I had to run down to the store. And obviously with COVID, I don't like to go to the store unless I have to. So that was like, oh no, why couldn't I have thought of this before? But I ran down there anyway, and I went in, and they had completely run out. And like 45 minutes before we started today, and I had to go to another store. So I was a little stressed, and I think we were a couple of minutes late, but yeah, thank you for waiting for me, and that's why I was panicking a little, but I'm starting to calm down now. Okay, so I'd say this is pretty well combined. As you can see, it's like a little shaggy. It's not like one lump of dough, and that's totally fine. That's what it should look like. And now I'm going to start forming this into cookies. And like I said before, I have a lined baking sheet here. I think you can see it. Yes. I will move that back there. And this mixture makes about 14 cookies. And like I said, I'm not super scientific with my baking. So I don't measure, like weigh it or anything. I just sort of eyeball it. And they are kind of chunky cookies. And I just take a bit in my hand. I start to make it into like a rough ball. And then I just press it out a little. So I like to make these cookies quite rustic looking. I don't go for like a perfect shape. And I make it look something like that. And then I pop it onto my baking sheet. When I made these with my mom, she was super meticulous and made them into perfect rounds. And that, of course, works well as well. So you do you. I keep it a bit rustic. But obviously try to make them stay together so that they don't like crumble at the edges when you bake them. And now we just make cookies. Make shapes, I guess. I'm just checking the chat to see if I can answer some questions while I'm doing this. And the Dancing Pineapple, such a cute name, is wondering what I like to make open-faced sandwiches with. And I actually made why can't I make a cookie suddenly? I've actually made a video all about this with three different combos. So you can check that out. In there I make how do you say it? Gravlax? Is that how you say it in English? It's actually a Swedish word. It's very strange to say it with like an English accent. But like a smoked salmon, but it's made from carrot instead. With some vegan cream cheese. I think that's such a classic combo. Super nice for open-faced sandwiches. And I don't know what's going on. I can't talk and shape at the same time, apparently. Another combo I do in there is, I saute some mushrooms with some kale and pop that over some hummus. I think that's a really great combo. My cookies don't want to, collaborate today. What's going on in here? What's the third one I do in that video? I can't quite remember, so you have to go and check it out. I should probably remember. I think it's just the pressure of the cookies not shaping the way I want them is making me forget. But what else are good open-faced sandwich combos? Let us know in the chat. What's your favorite? I love everything with hummus. So for me, anything with hummus is awesome. Obviously, the classic is avocado toast, which, it's not really a Swedish classic, but it's become a classic in recent years. I'm sure you agree with me. And that's always yummy. What else? Rob, have you got any? He's always just shaking his head in the background. Sorry, he's not being cooperative either. Oh yes, and Dancing Pineapple is asking again, what do I snack on if I watch the Swedish Eurovision? And actually it's been a while since I watched Swedish Eurovision, but some of my favorite snacks are popcorn. I love popcorn. Rob is a master popcorn popper. And we like to have it with a generous sprinkling of salt and some nutritional yeast. If you've never tried popcorn with nutritional yeast, you have to try it. It's super yummy. What else? I love to make, it sounds maybe boring to some of you, but like raw balls, like raw chocolate balls is super nice for snacking on when you're watching something like that. But also if you want to go a little bit fancy, maybe if you want to make it a bit of an event. I remember when we watched Eurovision a few years ago when it was the big competition between all the European countries. My mom came to visit and we made like a snack platter with some different dips, like some hummus and another hummus or another couple of hummuses with different flavorings in it. And that is super nice for a nice time together, sharing some nice food and snacking with a TV show. And I think we had some olives on there, crackers. You could definitely do like a vegan cheese board. That's super nice as well, of course. What else did we have? Yeah, carrot sticks, celery sticks, like little gem lettuce leaves are super nice to dip into hummus. Why don't my cookies want to stay together? I wonder if I've done something wrong suddenly. But I think it shall be fine. I hope yours are working out at home, if you're making them. I'm almost finished with my pressing and pressing. What else do I like to snack on? Candy, sweets. Sweden is like the capital in the world of pick and mix. Like where you have, it's not very COVID friendly really, but for some reason they haven't stopped selling it. Where you from big bins, you pick what different flavors of sweets you want, and you put it all in a bag, and then they weigh it, and you pay by weight. And this is super popular in Sweden. I think there's something crazy, like every Swede eats, now I will give the wrong metric or the wrong statistic probably, but like 14 kilograms of this a year each or something crazy like that. And I do like it. I eat that sometimes. I liked it more before I went vegan though, because I always used to, this is a very small cookie, we might have to pick that out before the other ones. I will continue with my pick and mix story after I've put these in the oven, but first I just want to rinse my hands. If you're baking, you might want to do the same. And before I continue, let's put them in the oven. So once I've smooshed them into cookies, I put them on the should I put that in the middle, Rob? I put them on the lined baking sheet, and they look something like this. And yeah, they're not all perfectly the same shape, but that's how I roll. It's probably better if they're more or less the same size, of course. And if some of them stick up a little, I just take my hand, the palm of my hand, and I just press it down a little bit. It's looking a bit thicker than the other ones or something like that. But like you see, they're pretty rustic looking. That's totally cool. Obviously, you don't really want one that's smaller than the other ones, but I ended up with one. I think it will be fine. We're going to pop them in the oven now for 18 to 20 minutes. And our ovens should be preheated now to 180 degrees Celsius. So let's pop them in. Yes, all is good. And let's set an alarm as well. As you know, I like my alarms. They don't always do what I want them to, but I will make sure that it works this time. 18 minutes, let's start with that. And it's off. So about the pick and mix, I used to like it better when I was I'm going to sit here now. We have a few minutes. I'm going to look very small. Anyways, I used to like the chocolates and like the caramel sweets, and they are in general not vegan. That's why I used to like it more when I wasn't vegan. But luckily, there are plenty of delicious vegan chocolate caramelly sweets to have as well. So I definitely like sweets as a snack when I'm watching something like that and it's a bit of a festive situation. I also love crisps. My favorite is salt and vinegar since I lived in the UK. I didn't like them at first. Like many things, when you try them for the first time, you're like, do I like this, or is it just weird? Or is it weird and I like them still? But I did grow to like salt and vinegar crisps. And I also like dill crisps. I don't know if that's quite a Swedish thing, but we love dill in Sweden. So why not dill crisps, right? And yeah, I guess those are about the snacks that I like to make. But yeah, like I said, if you want to have like a more festive snack, I love to make a platter and you know, make it look nice, put things in different patterns and decorate the hummus maybe with some pomegranate seeds or some, just some regular seed, like a seed mix, maybe some dukkha, which is a seed and spice mix. I have a recipe for that on my website, goodeatings.com, so you can just search for that, DUKKAH. It's a super yummy seed and spice mix that is often made and eaten in the Middle East. It's a nice thing to do. Let me answer some questions now. We have a minute while the cookies are baking. And I think I'm going to start with I might have made a noise. I'm going to start with the questions that I got on Instagram, just so that I get through them this time, and then I'll answer some of your questions on there on the chat as well. Actually, Kathy is saying hearty popcorn is the best, especially with garlic powder, chili flakes, and smoked paprika. And that sounds really awesome. I've never tried putting so many different spices onto popcorn, but I definitely will now. And I love garlic, so putting garlic powder on there sounds really yummy, and I'm sure it goes very well with nutritional yeast as well. So maybe we'll make that tonight. Anyways, let's do the questions. I'll try to do these a little bit quickly and then I can chat to you some more in the live chat. So someone was asking me about they found that every time they make oat cookies, they come out dry. And they were asking why. And like I said, I'm not baking expert, but I imagine that maybe there's not enough fat in the mixture because this can make cookies dry, or maybe you're using too much of a flour that's very drying, like coconut flour, for example, can often be very drying. So if you're not using the exact flours that is written in the recipe, that can often change how dry or moist the result will be. Those are the things I can think of. Maybe you guys can think of something else, and you can help each other in the chat. I love it when we all help each other, right? And then I got a question about if I like living in the city and in our flat, because before, for those of you who don't know, we lived in a house in the countryside, and that was our plan to move to another house in the countryside, but that sort of fell through and we ended up in this apartment. And I feel very lucky and fortunate. We have a beautiful flat in a very central location in Malmö. And I do like our flat. I like the city, but I would prefer to live in the countryside. And when we moved here, it was before the pandemic. And of course, we were thinking that, okay, before we move back to the countryside, we're going to enjoy the city, do all the things that you do in a city, you know, go to restaurants, cafes, exhibitions, museums, hang out in places where there are a lot of people. And we haven't been able to do that because of the pandemic, of course, like everyone else. So that was a little bit of it sounds like selfish to say, but for us it was like an extra bummer. And I say it's selfish because so many people have been affected really badly by the pandemic, and for us it's just, you know, restricted that we can't like do fun stuff. But of course it was something that affected us when we had that idea of like, we're going to seize the time we have of living in the city, and then we can't really. So that was a bit of a bummer. And yeah, in the summer we were thinking, you know, yeah, it would have definitely been nicer to live in the countryside than to be able to be outside more without worrying too much about other people being close or whatever. And you would have like more fun things to do outside and away from people, like gardening, for example, which I really enjoy doing. So things like that has been something we've missed. But it is cool to live in the city, and I've always liked feeling like I'm part of a city. Like I love going to the market and sort of getting to know the stall owners a little bit, and, you know, do my shopping and chat a little bit. And I love just walking around and smiling at my fellow city people, city fellow citizens, maybe is how you would say it, and feel like I'm part of a city. But that's also nice in a village where we lived before. We were close to the village, and it's nice to connect. I just like connecting with people. So it's nice to be in a city for that reason. I think that's enough about that. Someone also asked, what do I like the most about living in Sweden? And there are many things to like. I think I've always, well, maybe when I was younger, I didn't really think about it like that, but I feel very lucky to have been born and grown up in Sweden. It's a very safe, peaceful place in general, much more so than many other countries in the world. And it's in general very accepting as well. I know there are plenty of exceptions, and there are I'm not saying that we're without fault or that there aren't people who are not accepting of people that are different to them or whatever, because there definitely are. But in general, it's a very open and accepting place, especially in the bigger cities. Like anywhere else, usually it's more of that, how do you say, atmosphere in cities. But that's something I really like about Sweden. It's pretty progressive. It's pretty clean. We have good fresh air, which is something I don't take for granted, having lived in London, and I really appreciate that. Also, we used to live, if you know England, you know London, we used to live in East London and very close to Brick Lane, and it could be really dirty there. I don't know why, but the streets were just dirty. And I would say that we don't really, it's not really like that in Sweden. It's pretty clean, although Malmö can also be pretty dirty sometimes with like, sometimes it happens, you know, that trash is on the street, which is super not nice. But in general, it's pretty clean, which is something I appreciate. I think that's nice. I wrote some things down. Yeah, of course, I also like the fact that we have quite good social security, a good welfare system. I don't know, but I have the feeling that it's not quite as good as it used to be anymore. I feel like there are flaws, of course, to our system as well. But in general, there's a lot of stability and safety for most people. Not everyone, though. I think there's always the chance of falling between, in Swedish we say you fall between two chairs, that you end up not getting the help that you need. And there's definitely a lot of that going on if you watch the news and you stay up to date with things. But in general, we have a good welfare system. And I think that's something to be grateful for. And yeah, that we're all paying towards something that we have as a community that is for everyone. So that was a little bit about that, maybe a little haphazard between different things. But yeah, next question, which is a completely different question, is what is my favorite food? And I try to answer these questions in every live. You always ask me something like this, and I find it so hard. I like so many different foods. I often say that my favorite dish is dosa. It's a South Indian dish, which is like a fermented, I think it's lentil and rice, very thin pancake that's a little bit crispy around the edges. And I like the masala dosa, which has like spiced potatoes inside. And it's usually served with a soup on the side called sambar, which has a few veggies in it and a very nice flavor that I can't quite describe, a little bit spicy. And usually you are served this with some chutneys on the side. What I have gotten, I think most of the time, I don't know exactly what's traditional, but it's usually a coconut chutney, like a green chutney with maybe mint and coriander or something like that, and a spicy tomato chutney. And I just love this dish. I think it's genius. I wish everyone could try it. So I will say that for my favorite food. Someone asked if I want to publish a cookbook, and one day I would love to. Yeah, that's the simple answer. Cool. Let me check in with you in the chat now. I think that would be nice. I will bring you closer to me. Let's see where we're at. I'll try to go from the bottom up. Susan is asking if we've set the date for our wedding yet, and no, we haven't. Rob and I have been engaged for a while. And we don't feel rushed to do it. I think we had thought we would do it sometime last year, but for obvious reasons with everything going on, we didn't. We would like for our parents to be there, and Rob's parents are in Mauritius at the moment, so they haven't been able to travel, or we haven't seen them for about a year now. So we didn't feel like we wanted to do it right now, but we're not having a big wedding at all. We will probably just walk down to City Hall with, I'm thinking that it will be us and our parents and our siblings if they can and want to come. And that'll be pretty much it. If we live in the countryside when we do it, maybe we'll have a little garden party or like garden drinks or whatever afterwards, or we'll just do it here. I don't know. We shall see, but no date. Kat loves Indian food too. Yeah, it is good, isn't it? And I do miss it also, to be able to go to restaurants and have professionals make me yummy food. And Dancing Pineapple is wondering, why did I choose Malmö over Stockholm or Gothenburg? And the simple answer is, I guess, that we lived in the countryside here in Skåne after we moved from London, close to my sister, and we never really meant to move to a city. And the closest city to where we lived in the countryside, like closest big city, Malmö is the third biggest city in Sweden, for those of you who don't know, was Malmö. I guess Lund would have technically been closer, but we ended up here and we like it. It's very vegan friendly, which suits us. I like the vibe here. Do you say vibe? I feel silly when I say vibe. I don't know. I like the atmosphere of Malmö. I think it's cool. I feel like it's forward thinking. Like I said, vegan friendly. I feel like, I like it here. I didn't want to move to Stockholm. I've never really wanted to live there again since I grew up in a suburb to Stockholm. I don't know. I've also lived there when I went to uni for a bit. It was never really for me. I like Stockholm. I like to visit. I think it's a beautiful city. And there's lots of fun stuff to do there and people are cool, but I never felt super accepted or like part of a community in Stockholm. So I think that's what put me off moving there. Let's see. Have I ever made tahini and lingonberry cookies? No, I have not, but it sounds like a cool combo. Maybe one day I shall try that. It seems Rena also likes my, has the same taste in crisps as me. It's nice to have a twin in the world, a crisp twin. Lindsay says she hasn't seen dill crisps. Is it possible to make it? I guess you mean if it's possible to make it at home. Maybe it is. Actually, it's pretty easy if you peel your potatoes when you cook them. You can make super crispy crisps in the oven if you mix them with quite a generous amount of oil and salt, and you bake them in the oven. I don't quite remember at what temperature, but you can definitely use the search engine to find out, of course. And then you bake them for a while and they become crispy like crisps. And it's actually super yummy. I recommend you all to try it. And if you wanted to make them dill flavored, I guess you could use dried dill to add to the mixture when you do the potato peel crisps. Or I guess any type of crisps at home. But I haven't really made other types of crisps at home, so I wouldn't know how you do it otherwise. But yeah, I think that would work. Dancing Pineapple is asking again if I have an idea for a vegan version of Skagen toast. And this is a very Swedish thing. Skagen, I guess it's a place on the south coast, west coast, I don't know. Actually, we just call it, basically we call it Skagen mixture. And it's something that you can put like in a baked potato, or very traditional. You can often serve it as a starter on a little piece of really crispy white toast. You serve this, and it's a seafood mixture with like mayo and dill. I said we love dill and lemon and usually some red onion, I think. And this is super traditional, very summery thing that we like to make here in Sweden. And I actually have a vegan version of this on my blog, a recipe for it on my blog. So Dancing Pineapple, I've got you covered. Goodeatings.com, just search for Skagen, Skagen, for those of you who don't know how to spell it. And how to make the vegan version is basically that you use tofu instead of, I think it's usually made with shrimp. So I use tofu instead, and you salt the mixture well so that it has that, saltiness that seafood usually have. And it usually also has caviar in it, obviously fish eggs, but here in Sweden at least it's very easy to find a vegan version of this made from algae. Tång in Swedish, tång caviar. So algae caviar, it looks exactly the same, and I don't remember what actual caviar tastes like, but I think it tastes pretty much the same as well. Some people wouldn't agree with me, and that I'm fine with that. But you use that instead of the seafood, and then you use vegan mayo, vegan creme fraiche, you get all the other goodies in there, and you have a vegan Skagen röra. So you can definitely make that without animal products or animals. And there goes the timer for the cookies. I will straight away put a timer for 2 minutes in case they're not quite ready yet. So I'm going to check them now. And if you're baking with me and need to check your cookies as well, you want them to be a little bit golden around the edges and have firmed up a little bit. They don't change color super much, so don't worry if they're just a little golden around the edges. That's perfect. Mine can definitely do with extra 2 minutes. So let's see if I can find a quick question to answer in the meantime. I don't know if this is your name, maybe. I don't want to butcher it. Maya Satara, I hope I'm pronouncing that kind of right, is saying that she loves Rob's mom's jewelry in the mushroom dish video. And I want to just say this so that she can hear it. I think Ige's here. And funny stories about this, because I feel like wherever I go with her, someone is always commenting on the way she dresses or her jewelry, because she just is like she has her complete, how do you say, she completely has her own unique style, and is super fun fun. She dresses fun. She has cool jewelry, cool clothing. She does her hair in a completely unique way. And yeah, it's very fun to go places with her because people are always smitten with the way she carries herself, the way she puts together her fashion. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And for those of you who don't know, you can go check out the video that Maya Satara is referring to, where we make, it's a What I Eat in a Day video where we make Hungarian paprikash. You can see her jewelry there. Okay, let's check the cookies again. I feel like that wasn't very long. I'm gonna leave my cookies for another 2 minutes. Maybe I made mine a little bit bigger. I actually think I did. So if you made yours a little bit big, they might not be 100% ready yet. So I'm gonna leave them for 2 more minutes, then I'm gonna take them out. Anju loves hummus too. Awesome. Can't go wrong with hummus. I always say that. Sorry, I'm just reading. I always do this and I feel like I'm quiet for way too long. Okay, Lena is asking if I can explain, please, how vegans manage iron deficiency. How do I do it? After years on a vegan diet, she has now anemia. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian. So if you feel like if you're anemic, you should definitely go see a healthcare professional. And you just explain to them that you're vegan, and they should be able to help you with a vegan-friendly supplement to use in combination with your diet. And I know for a fact that women are more susceptible to anemia or iron deficiency. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or not. It has to do with our menstrual cycles and losing blood. And for some people, this affects their iron levels more than others. I am not super high in iron. I never was, even before I went vegan. So I'm quite mindful of this. And if you want to up your iron intake in your food, then dark leafy greens are great to eat. But you want to have some vitamin C rich food along with your iron rich foods, because this actually helps your body absorb more of the iron. So that's a little tip from me to you. Squeeze some lemon juice or eat some other vitamin C rich fruits or vegetables with your iron rich foods, and it should help you with your uptake. I'm going to grab the cookies now. And I would say they are done. Let's have a look. So, like I said, they want to be a little bit golden on the edges. And I feel like maybe I've now left them in a little long, but I don't know. Probably because I didn't listen to my own instructions, which is kind of a silly thing to do. But I think they'll be yummy anyway. They just looked so pale, but now they actually look quite dark for these cookies. So they are slightly crumbly in their texture, these cookies. And oh, you know what I actually forgot? You see, I always forget something when I do these lives. Why? I can't stay on like topic. Actually, when I made the mixture, and I should have, of course, said this, I'm really sorry if you baked along and I totally missed this. Why they were a little bit dry is because here I had standing 2 tablespoons of oat milk. And when I do the mixture normally, I add like 1 tablespoon at a time to make sure that it really comes together and it's easy to shape. And like I said, when I was struggling to shape them, I'd probably done something wrong, and this explains it. So mine has definitely cracked a little bit more than usual. And I think this just proves that I can't focus on 2 things at the same time. I always want to chat a lot with you and have fun, or I have fun doing it. And so I forget things. I'm sorry. I hope you're not too disappointed. And if you make them again, if you've made them with me now, definitely add some oat milk to make sure that you can shape the cookies well. And with these cookies, you want to let them cool completely before you move them too much, because they are a little bit soft now. So as you can see, that you can sort of move them and they will move with you. So you'll want to let them cool down completely before you move them off of the oven tray, and then they're perfectly fine to eat. But yeah, like I said, they can be a little bit crumbly, and that's totally fine. I think gluten-free baking is a little bit tricky, and sometimes things are a little bit more crumbly than maybe you're used to if you're not doing gluten-free baking. And for me, it doesn't really bother me, and they've never been so crumbly that, you know, you can't hold it and eat it. But yeah, you definitely should add the oat milk if, like me, you had a problem like having it stick together properly when you were shaping them. And I think, yeah, like I said, I was just chatting too much to think of this while I was doing it. I'm so sorry. Why do I always do this? I apologize. But these are the cookies. These are the vegan, gluten-free oat cookies that I make often. Rob loves them. My mom loves them. And I hope you guys will love them too. And you can always find the recipe for these with the fabulous ingredient of oat milk in it. Or you can, of course, use soy milk or rice milk or whatever plant milk you have on hand. On my website, goodeatings.com, just use the search bar and put in oatmeal cookies, and you can always find them there if you want to make them, if you didn't make them now, or if you want to make them again. And you can always refer back to this video, but remember the oat milk before you bake them. I'm just going to have a look and see if there's anything else I can address from you guys before I leave you for this evening. Susan is asking, do most Swedes speak English as well as me? Thank you very much. I take that as a compliment that you think I speak English well. And a lot of Swedish people speak English very well. We learn English in school from an early age. When I was in school, I started learning English at 9 years old, but I think these days they start even earlier. If I'm not mistaken, I think they start with like simple words even at 6 or 7 these days. But I'm not a teacher, so I don't know if I'm lying. But when I did it, we started at 9, and then we study English throughout school until we graduate. What do you call that? Upper secondary school, and then if you do gymnasium or high school, which you don't have to, but most people do in Sweden, you study English there as well. I think it's one of the basic required courses that you do. So we study English a lot. There's lots of American cultural influences in Sweden, and British as well now, especially British, like what do you call them? Detective series and stuff. Swedish people love that. So we watch a lot of English-speaking TV shows, films, books, podcasts, radio shows, music. So I think we have a lot of influence in English. So most people do speak English well. I have had the advantage of living in an English-speaking country. I lived in England on and off for 5 years. So that's definitely helped me with my vocabulary. And when I moved there in the beginning, I always felt like I had no personality. I felt like I can speak with you, but it was like, I was like how do you say, I wasn't myself, I felt like. And I think that I definitely feel more comfortable with English now that I've spoken it for so many years and spoke it for so many years in an English-speaking country where I had lots of native English-speaking friends, and I learned to get comfortable with the English language in a way that I don't think I would have if I didn't live live with the language, I guess. So I guess that could be a difference between how I feel about speaking English and maybe people who haven't had that experience of living somewhere. But everyone's different, of course, and in general, Swedish people are very good at speaking English.
Second best in the world.
And Rob's saying that we're the second best in the world out of like the non-native English-speaking countries, and I think it's the Dutch that beat us to the first place. Pernilla is wondering where my sweater is from, and it's really old. I think this sweater is like 6 years, and I can't remember where 6 years old, and I can't remember where I got it. But thank you very much. I always say to everyone, check secondhand, so I will say it again. Zoe is wondering if you can come say hi, Rob. Do you want to? He's shaking his head. Maybe we can convince him. Can you hear him? Maybe we can convince him some day to do a live with me. Maybe we could do a taste test of new products or something, and he can come on, but I'm not going to make him. Thank you for being nice to me, Zoe, about my missing the ingredient. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at this. I will read more in the chat after I say goodbye, just see if I missed something, and I like to just hang out for a couple of minutes to write a little bit with you. So if you have any questions or anything, you can totally write them, and I'll hang out with you for a couple of minutes in the chat after I leave you in person. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this.
How long should they wait, maybe, for the cookies?
Oh, but how long should you wait for before you move the cookies? Like mine now, actually, this is good. Good that you said that. If you take them like this, now they are already quite firm, or they're firmer. Like you see, they have a little bit of crumbles. That's fine, they're yummy. So I can definitely move mine now. I can show you. I think I can put this here. So mine are extra crumbly, obviously, because I didn't add the oat milk. So you can definitely move them now. And I like to move mine to a rack for a little bit to cool a little bit more. But I mean, now that you can hold them and touch them without them like caving in on themselves, is what I'm trying to say. You can eat them now. If you like to eat warm cookies, go for it. I can take a bite. Good, but I shouldn't have left mine for those extra 2 minutes. So if I fooled any of you to do it as well, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm not quite on my A game, but still yummy, in my humble opinion. And I'm looking forward to eating these with a nice cup of tea, or maybe my tahini and date hot chocolate like Lindsay later on. And it's always a pleasure to do these lives with you guys. I love to have this instant connection with you, and I hope you enjoyed it too. I look forward to seeing you soon. Stay tuned next Sunday for a new video. There will be a really delicious, spicy, sour, coconutty noodle soup. So stay tuned for that recipe and a new video, like I said. And I hope we can do another live soon. We'll see when that is. As usual, I will let you know in the community tab, or I'll pop a alert, a video alert up if there's a new live video. Otherwise, you find me here every Sunday with a new video, not live, but with a new video. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon. I wish you all a good day, a good evening, whatever time it is where you are. And yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Bye, everyone.